What's up, dudes? I'm back with another video. Now, Download 2025 will be my 16th Download Festival, which sounds mental. I mean, it's crazy for me to think about that. I know there are people out there that have been to a lot more. Some of them we know very well that have been to all the downloads. But I think that obviously 16 with this year's attendance is nothing to be sniffed at. So what I wanted to do was talk about all the downloads that I've been to, sort of briefly going through the points of them. You know, I never have a bad time at any download, but they definitely do vary in quality from lineups. Weather, of course, is always a big issue at download, and just the general time I've had. So I'm going to run through those with you today, and hopefully it will bring back some memories for some of you, and some of you will just enjoy how I rank them. Let's get on with it. So we have to have a last place. So in at number 15, and I'm sure it's the same for a lot of people, mainly due to the weather, well, the change in the weather as we'll talk about, it's Download 2016. It's well known that this is one of the worst weather years of Download, joint with 2012. But I think it's more jarring because for the first 2 days, it was absolutely blazing sunshine. And then literally on the Friday, as Baby Metal were on, it always seems to rain when Baby Metal are on, just absolutely turned into 2 days of horrendous rain, ruined the whole experience for me. But basically the story was that I was in soaking wet clothes the whole time. We went to come back before Rammstein to the tents. Someone had kicked the tent peg out from our tent, and literally everything of mine was completely soaked. And because it wasn't really dry that weekend until the Sunday, I was just basically in wet clothes the entire time. So already I wasn't having a great time. One thing I remember from it being really, really good was Korn's performance. Korn were absolutely insane that day, so much so that I completely just forgot it was raining and just thoroughly enjoyed myself. One of the best Korn sets I've ever seen. But yeah, obviously the weather wrecked this for a lot of people, but just to top it off, I remember getting to, I think it was the second or third stage. I can't remember which stage it was. It was probably the third stage. And Ghost was supposed to be on, and then we got word that Ghost had cancelled, and it just topped off a really just horribly wet, disgusting weekend. And to be honest, I'm really surprised that I went back after that. So solidly at the end of my downloads, at number 15, it's Download 2016. Okay, at number 14, it's 2008, otherwise known as the Transitional Download year. It was definitely an odd one. Previously, obviously, the festival, if you don't know, had always been in the infield, which was inside the ring of the circuit that goes around Download. But in 2008, they were transitioning to where the festival currently sits now. So where the arena is now, it's been that way since 2009. So 2008 was a really weird in-between year where, believe it or not, if you know where Black Camp is, at the bottom of Black Camp was the main stage. So if you're on the hill in Black Camp, that's literally where you stood to watch the bands on the main stage in 2008. Where the village is now is where the second stage was on tarmac. It was really weird. It was the first year they had the second stage outside, and it was on tarmac. It was so weird to have a stage on tarmac and not grass and not be indoors because it had been indoors for so long. The main gripe people have with this one is the walk. So you've got to think that where we currently park our cars, you'd say South Car Park, just down from that is where you would camp. So it would literally take you about 50 minutes to walk from the campsite all the way to the other side of Donington to get to the arena. So the walk was one of the things that people really, really hated about this year. There's one reason why it should be bottom automatically, and that's because Lost Profits headlined. So automatically, that should shove it down to last. But I do think that 2008 was a better year in general than 2016, and I certainly had a better time. Great memories from this. I remember bleeding through on the second stage, being absolutely insane. I remember on their last song, they had a giant circle pit going literally right around all of the sound crew. It was amazing. It was one of the best things I've seen at Download. Lethal Bizzle randomly playing Download, getting absolutely pelted with bottles of God knows what, and him continuing and finishing the whole set and pretty much getting everyone on side with his set by the time that he finished. So that was also one of my most fond memories. And also Kiss, my first time seeing Kiss. My God, they were absolutely amazing. They totally stole the show and the festival for me. I still had loads of my friends there. It was great. You know, I had fun, but just not as much fun as it had at other festivals, and it just doesn't have as many memorable moments. So yeah, in at number 14, Download 2008. At number 13, I've got Download 2017. I mean, as I said before, I'm so surprised I went back to the festival. The weather in 2017 was a lot better. It wasn't Download's greatest weather by any stretch of the means, but it wasn't a real wet one. You know, it didn't rain that much. It was actually pretty decent the whole time. So already that was a bonus, and it felt more like Download. My takeaways from this one, I remember really enjoying the wrestling that they had on at that point. Obviously, they were doing NXT, all the WWE stuff. That was a lot of fun. But the bands really, there was no real standouts in 2017. System of a Down were super boring on the main stage. The only set that really blew me away, or really is memorable that I can pick out from 2017, was Biffy headlining. Still to this day, one of my favourite headline slots from any Download. It's definitely going to be in my top 10 if I was to do a top 10 headline sets from Download. Yeah, I absolutely loved it. So it was a bit of an odd one. We didn't really know that many people there. We met a couple of friends and we made some friends as well. But yeah, it was just a very odd, strange year with just two of us going. So yeah, that's why 2017 is at number 13. At number 12, I've put Download 2013. Now at this point, I hadn't been for a few years. I hadn't been since 2010. So I missed 11 and 12. So I was really excited to get back to Download. You know, I'd been such a streak before those years. I was like, yes, here we go. Can't wait. And really, I was quite disappointed. Now, I did have fun with my friends. That part of it was great. But band-wise, I don't really have that many vivid memories. I think that obviously the headliners were incredible. Maiden were absolutely fantastic, playing Seventh Son and Seventh Son. It's one of my favourite Maiden albums. Rammstein were fantastic, and Slipknot were incredible. But really, those are the only three bands that sort of stand out that I'm reminded of. And Papa Roach, actually. Papa Roach were really good. That was on The Connection, which is a really good Papa Roach album. So, and Papa Roach. Well, obviously, it's only 4 bands from a whole weekend. But yeah, the weather as well. The weather could not make up its mind. It was just raining one moment, sunny the next, raining, sunny. Sometimes it was sunny and raining at the same time. So it was one of those real hard ones to sort of go out for the day out of your tent for, because you were like, well, should I bring a jacket? Should I wear a short sleeve t-shirt? I don't really know what's happening. So that was annoying. And also, we got there late. I didn't get there on the Wednesday like I normally did. We went on the Thursday, which is probably always a bad idea, if I'm honest. And we had to go camp in what was Yellow Camp then. And it was on a horrific hill. And yeah, I was just rolling each side of my bed every single night. It was terrible. So yeah, overall, Download 2013 wasn't really anything to write home about. You know, I didn't have a bad time, but I didn't have a great time either. And yeah, then I wouldn't go to Download for another 2 years before my streak started. I really did want to go in 2014 the next year, but I was in America seeing my mum, so I didn't go. And 2015, I was relocating from London to Cheltenham. So boring. At number 12 is Download 2013. At number 11, I have put Download 2024. That's it, last year's Download. Now, a good lineup overall, although the headliners didn't thrill me. So I spent my time watching the second stage headliners. So I think Funeral for a Friend put on an amazing set with Lucas from Holding Absence. Pantera were unbelievable, and Machine Head put on a hell of a show. I'm really not surprised they're headlining Bloodstock, because they are just an immense force live. Fear Factory were fantastic. Mr. Bungle were great. There were some really great acts at Download 2024. Also, one of my personal highlights, if some of you know that the Dear Download podcast, we actually got to do a live show at Download in the RIP section.
Say it twice. Nintendo. Yay!
Personally, that is a massive highlight to me. If you'd have gone back and told 2005, 2006 Download Simon that I'd actually be doing a podcast at the festival, you know, performing at the festival. I know it's not on one of the main stages or anything, or with a band, but it's still a personal highlight. So that year, you know, take that aside from this year, it didn't have a fantastic vibe. The weather was not great, as you know, not the worst, but just not great. It did rain a fair bit and it was a bit sludgy. Also, obviously, caveating that, of course, Vicky went pregnant. Fair play. She'd done the whole festival, which is an amazing feat, but she was tired. I was tired. We didn't really get a chance to go out, really enjoy our times, enjoy the day. Obviously, I wanted to make sure she was okay. We couldn't really enjoy ourselves as much as we wanted to. So caveating the I'd done something on a stage at Download aside, 2024 was not the most exciting Download I can remember, but did have some good performances. So at number 11, it's Download 2024. At number 10, I've put Download 2018. Now, this is at this end of the list, not because there's necessarily anything wrong with this festival. It was just a very bland festival. I can't think of any real great standout sets from 2018. I think everyone was just everything felt very mid to me that year, performance-wise. There is nothing in my brain that ever I think about, oh my God, Download 2018, that was such a good performance. It just doesn't happen. I had a great time with everyone. The weather was actually quite good, much better than 2017. Well, not much better, better than 2017, much better than Download 2016. So it was definitely the weather was getting better, which was great. But yeah, I don't really have too much to say about Download 2018. It's one of the ones for me that I probably got the most drunk at. It was probably one of the most ones that was a blur to me. This was before I met Vicky, so I was just crazy drunk guy. But yeah, I don't really have too much to say about Download 2018. The weather was good, the performances were mid. It's at number 10. At number 9, I've got Download 2010. Now, if you look at it on the face of it, pretty mental lineup, and there were some great performances. You know, AC/DC were awesome. Their stage, though, was one of my biggest gripes with Download of all time. Having two stages, one next to each other, having AC/DC do one gig on that stage and then not letting anyone else use it the whole time, then packing it down so it just became a giant eyesore, and then the whole rest of the festival was sort of pushed off to the right-hand side on the main stage. It was stupid, a terrible idea. I like AC/DC a lot, but that was just absolutely the most big-headed, stupid thing I've ever seen at Download. If AC/DC ever play again, I don't know if they actually will at this point, if they bring their own stage, I'm going to absolutely go mad. I really didn't like it. But obviously it was the year Rage Against the Machine that played Download. It was such a great set. Everyone went so mental that the barrier at the front actually broke, came apart. So everyone had to be told to take a step back, and then they had to put the barrier together so the gig could continue. So that shows you how mental a Rage Against the Machine show was. I also remember Deftones being absolutely incredible that year as well. There were other good performances, but those were the real standout ones for me. But yeah, weather-wise, it was basically just overcast the entire time. There were like sunny spells, but it looked, in pictures, it looks quite miserable, but it wasn't. It was just kind of okay weather. It rained a little bit here and there, but you never really had any like blazing sunshine where everyone was sunburned. We're getting into downloads now that are just generally good, and I had an amazing time at this one. Played a bit of football with everyone, got absolutely slaughtered the entire time. We played a lot of pranks on our friends. It was just good times all the way, and there was a hell of a lot of us that went from 2008, 9 and 10. As you can see by this picture, there was a hell of a lot of my friends that were going, and we were going in giant groups of people, which was awesome. And yeah, those days will probably never be repeated. We won't have groups that big going. But anyway, I'm babbling. 2010 was a good download, and it's at number 9. In at number 8, it's my very first download all the way back in 2005. I'm sure the rest of you as well can remember your first download and how much it just blew your mind, because it done the same to me. I was blown away by the bands, the scale of everything, the amount of people that were there, you know, just seas of tents, people just doing loads of crazy stuff, having fun, getting drunk. I mean, my mind was just like, I can't, this is just too insane, this is amazing. And of course that gave me the bug to want to go back. The story is, I wasn't actually going to go to download at all. I told my girlfriend at the time that I really wanted to go, and she'd done an amazing thing and bought me a ticket. I don't think that she realizes how much she affected my life going forward, because obviously I would get the bug from then, and I've been going, you know, on and off, but pretty much ever since. So I don't think she realised buying me that ticket would affect my life this much going forward. But it was a very nice thing to do. And yeah, I was just so stoked. I still remember that feeling of walking in the front where it said Download Festival and just being like, oh my God, you know, this is hallowed ground. This is Donington. This is just insane. I've been watching, you know, stuff on TV about this for years, hearing about obviously Monsters of Rock and all the great gigs that had been at Donington. So yeah, my tiny little brain at the time just couldn't handle it. And I think it took me a few years to sort of absorb all the things that I was feeling about Download. But yes, the lineup was fantastic. I had an absolutely fantastic time and my tiny little mind was blown. So in at number 8, it's 2005. At number 7, I've got the 2021 pilot. Now, this was obviously a very different download experience. I think it was like 15 or 20,000 people at that time. Because of what was happening in the world at the time, I remember being so gutted when they obviously announced download wasn't happening. But when they put themselves in for the pilot scheme, I had to get a ticket. I was like, this is a download no one else is going to experience. So me and the 15 or 20,000 people that were there, we have experienced something that no one else from the download community will experience. It was so strange camping where you would stand on the main stage to watch bands. It was like so trippy to think that, you know, I've stood here all these years and I've watched Slipknot and all these great bands on this spot where I'm camping right now. That bit of it was trippy, but the difference was, of course, it was all British bands. So it kind of felt like a celebration of Donington, a celebration of British bands, just like a real small, intimate festival. It kind of felt like if you were to shrink Download to Bloodstock size and say, this is what Download's going to be now. And it was great. I mean, I thought afterwards that had gone down so well with people that they would do a mini download. I still think that's a good idea to do one download in June and then do another download in August to complete with Bloodstock maybe, and make it much smaller and have just British bands play, or maybe, you know, smaller American bands, not to the scale that you would normally do download. But anyway, I don't want to babble on about those ideas, but Andy, if you're listening, it's a good idea, mate. But yes, 2021 was a great experience, very, very cool. Obviously, something that not many downloaders got to experience, and yeah, just a great way of seeing downloads. At number 7, it's 2021. At number 6, I've got Download 2022. Obviously, the first one back after 21. You know, the pilot had been a massive success, but it was time for Download again. So it really did feel like coming home. I'm sure a lot of you feel the same about this festival. The weather was fantastic. The new layout was great. You know, having that village on hard standing finally. Having all of the campsites moved to the other side. I know we lost all the original campsites like Blue Camp where I'd spent a lot of years and it's where people basically park their cars now. That was annoying, but I really, really enjoyed just coming home, having that full festival again. The new layout worked really well and some of the bands were incredible. I have to get this up because I have to remember that there are so many on this lineup that I loved. It was probably the best Iron Maiden performance that I'd seen for a hell of a long time. Maiden didn't dip for a while, but they weren't quite as good as they could be. But in 2022, they were incredible. Kiss were brilliant as well. Korn were absolutely amazing. Deftones were great. Mastodon were fantastic. Bush were great. Lacuna Coil. There was just so many great bands on the 2022 lineup. I had such a great time with my friends. It really did feel like coming home. Got to see loads of people that I'd been talking to through YouTube for years and obviously hadn't had the chance to meet. So it just overall, 2022 was just a great year. Great weather, great friends, great bands. Absolutely fantastic. And that's why it's a number 6. At number 5, I've got Download 2019. Now, not the best weather on record for Download. In fact, the village itself was so badly flooded this year that it actually convinced them to do the changes that would finally be implemented in 2022. So the festival had a positive effect on itself. So if the weather wasn't as bad in 2019, I don't think we would have got the changes that we got for 2022 and that you're seeing now. So for that reason, it was a great festival. The lineup itself was fantastic. Again, I've got the lineup here. Def Leppard were great. Slipknot, one of the best download performances I've seen from Slipknot. That's on YouTube as well, that performance. It's great. Slash, Whitesnake, Trivium, Smashing Pumpkins, Lamb of God, Slayer, Stone Temple Pilots, Dream Theater, Enter Shikari, 3 Days Grace. There were just so many amazing bands that I saw this year. Also, to top it off, my brother hadn't been since Download 2010, same as my friend Sammy. So a lot of my friends sort of returned to Download that year. So it was really great just to have people that I'd spent so many years ago with coming back to Download, and now they go consistently. So that Download actually convinced them to come back to the festival. I also just had such a great time. I just got drunk a lot, I would say, at this one to sort of hide myself from the weather. But regardless of that, the weather really didn't bother me in 2019. I just had such a blast with all my friends, great bands. It was just amazing. So yes, at number 5, I have Download 2019. At number 4, I've got my second Download festival. It's Download 2006. The weather throughout this whole weekend was insane. In fact, until 2023, it was the hottest Download on record, an absolute scorcher. And at this time, I was definitely not wearing any sun lotion, like an idiot, like a young idiot. But the lineup for this one was absolutely mental. Tool, Metallica, Guns N' Roses, Deftones, Soulfly, Coheed and Cambria, Korn, Trivium, Avenged Sevenfold, Alice in Chains, Stone Sour, Cradle of Filth, Lacuna Coil, Alter Bridge, The Prodigy, Killing Joke. I could just read this whole thing off. It is an insane... Looking back at some of these old lineups, I can't believe I got to go to some of these festivals because the lineups are absolute madness. Now, aside from that, I convinced so many of my friends to go to this festival for the first time. I was banging on the whole year from going in 2005, like, oh, come, Download, it's going to be so good. And actually quite a few of them did turn up in the end. But it was just fantastic. I remember having my 21st birthday there as well. So it was just a big, massive celebration of Download. Obviously, the weather was so insane that it drove some people to madness. This was the year of the Download riots. So I think it was like 3 or 4 in the morning on the Sunday night. Loads of riot police turned up. People were burning stuff, setting stuff on fire, throwing tents into the fires. Allegedly, they tried to burn some emos, but I think that was just hearsay from the metalers, or hope from the metalers. So I don't think anyone was badly injured, but there was just a lot of chaos going on. It was literally like the world was ending. It was a pretty crazy thing to see at Download, and something that obviously we've never seen since. But yeah, still to this day, those images are seared into my memory. But overall, great weather, great friends, incredible lineup. And yeah, it's definitely some of my fondest memories. And yeah, it's at number 4. At number 3, I've got Download 2007. Now, this is considered to be the last year of the classic phase of Download. Obviously, like we spoke about, 2008 was the transitional year. This was the last year of the actual festival being in the original space that it was when it was Monsters of Rock, which was inside the racetrack. We didn't know that at the time. I don't think many of us were that aware. We knew that the racetrack were making some upgrades, but we didn't know they were making ones so bad that the festival was actually going to have to move. Well, I certainly didn't at the time anyway, until the next year. So we didn't realize this was the last phase of the original Download. And my God, what a way to go out. I think this overall is one of the best Download, if not the best, that's second best Download lineup, as we'll get to number 1. But just listen to some of the names on this list. Headliners, My Chemical Romance, Linkin Park, Iron Maiden. Then, of course, just splashed all over this place. Marilyn Manson, Slayer, Machine Head, Bowling for Soup, 30 Seconds to Mars, Killswitch Engage, Evanescence, Stone Sour, Lamb of God, Mastodon, Papa Roach, Chimera, Megadeth, Korn, Enter Shikari, Paramore, Motley Crue, Billy Talent. I won't delve anymore because I'm sure that that's just blown your mind. Download 2007 was just insane. Also, I think the thing that really stands out for this is not only was it a great lineup, the level of performances on this was crazy. It's the best time I've ever seen Linkin Park, and it's probably the first or second best I've ever seen Iron Maiden. That Iron Maiden show, as the sun was coming down, was just a thing to behold. It was just incredible. The weather was actually pretty decent. It was a little bit overcast for a couple of days, but then we got some sunshine as well, so we did get a little bit of sun time. But yeah, I've just got so many amazing, vivid memories that will sort of always stay with me for this. Things that I still remember to this day that happened at this festival. I can still sort of picture myself standing there and watching Iron Maiden and watching Linkin Park. 2007, incredible year. Had some great friends with me. Bands were insane. Performances were off the charts. It's number 3. At number 2, it's Download 2023, the 20-year celebration of Download. Obviously, a momentous occasion. Download turned up to 11, 4 days of music. A giant scale. We'd settled into the layout by this point from 2022. We all knew where we were going, what we were doing, and my God, the weather, the hottest Download on record. Blazing the entire time, absolutely gorgeous. It just added to that 20-year celebration and just everything that was Download and Donington. Obviously, if you don't know about the lineup, it was also absolutely fantastic. Of course, we had 2 nights of Metallica. The first night was much better than the second night, but they were still good. Metallica, Alter Bridge, Skindred, Ginger, Pucifer, Architects, Evanescence, Within Temptation, Pendulum, Neck Deep, Disturbed, Simple Plan, Clutch, Conan Cambria, Ice Nine Kills, Slipknot, Parkway Drive, Ghost, Electric Callboy. I could go on. It was crazy. I think that the biggest thing that came from this, of course, was the now kind of legendary Bring Me the Horizon set. I think that they put on a show that blew everyone away. Bring Me the Horizon fans as well. I knew they were going to be good. I didn't think they were going to be that good. It's a shame we haven't got that on some sort of, Blu-ray or online in full, because this was absolutely mind-blowing. Slipknot were good as well. Metallica's first night as well I thought was great, but I really feel like Bring Me the Horizon stole this year, and they've done it at the right time. They literally stole the show at the biggest Download. So it's not really any other one you can really steal the show at perfectly. But aside from the weather, I had such a fantastic time. It was the first time of me going where people really knew who I was. So obviously we done the Dear Download meetup and everyone came. It was fantastic to meet all the people that had been fans of my YouTube and, all the people that were just coming up to me saying, hey man, I like your stuff. Like, it was overwhelming, but at the same time, it was incredible because I was finally getting to talk to the people like you guys that watch my stuff. So everything in this year was just perfect. The weather was perfect. Meeting all you guys was perfect. Getting to go with just all of my friends, my family, meeting people that I hadn't in ages. It was just, everything about this Download was just amazing. And just to have that extra little, it was just blazing the whole time just to top it off. So there is literally no bad things I can say about Download 2023. Such an amazing time. I'm sure a lot of you agree. It was one of the best Downloads ever. There's no question about it. I think if you guys would do a list, hopefully it would be top or around that, especially if you've only been to Downloads recently. But anyway, I'm babbling. It was really good. It's my number 2. I could talk about it for ages, but I won't. Let's see what my number 1 Download festival is. And at number 1, my personal favourite Download of all time, it's Download 2009. There was just something special about this year. Initially, at this point, I was still living at home, so I couldn't really afford to get tickets. So literally, my friends saved up the money to get me to go. My girlfriend at the time put in the main amount of money for it, but a lot of my friends gave me money, donations, because people were like, we cannot go to Download without Simon, which was just great in itself. So already it was like anticipation, whether I was going to go or not, and could we get enough money? So eventually it happened, and obviously I got there, of course, otherwise it wouldn't be here. But I just think that everything about this festival was perfect. The people that I went with, we still have quotes and things that we say still to this day from 2009. I met some of my really, really best friends that I've had literally since 2009, met them at this festival, and we've been friends since. So that's just an extra bonus. I might have been very drunk at this one as well. The weather was good. It was sunny on some days and quite sort of rainy-ish on others, but it definitely doesn't sit into the bad Download weather. It kind of sits in the middle somewhere. But weather, regardless, my God, this lineup is absolutely mental. So headliners were Faith No More, a band that I had waited years to see. It was their return show, and that in itself would have put that over the top for me, just to see Faith No More and to see them on their return show. Insane. Of course, as well, Slipknot's first ever headline set. Not their first ever headline set of Download, their first ever headline set. This was special. It's on YouTube, so you can watch it. Download 2009 Slipknot. But being 3 people from the front for that show is something I will never forget. Seeing one of my favourite bands all the way from back in 2000 on that big stage finally earn their place, and to top it off, absolutely tear the place apart. It was insane, like nothing I've seen since. And also, you know, listen to this lineup, man. Korn, Limp Bizkit, Killswitch Engage, Billy Talent, Marilyn Manson, Pendulum, Down, Hatebreed, Devil Driver, ZZ Top, Whitesnake, The Prodigy, Motley Crue, Trivium, Papa Roach, Opeth, Meshuggah. I won't go on anymore. It is absolutely flawless all the way through. And still to this day, a lot of these sets stuck into my brain. Great Biscuit set, great Korn set. Whitesnake were absolutely unbelievable. They were getting on a bit at this point, and I thought, let's go watch Whitesnake, because we all like Whitesnake in my group of friends, and we were like, wow, they were actually fantastic. So yeah, there's not enough good things, again, like 2023. It's hard between this and 2023, but this one just takes it a little bit. This really made me love Download Festival. I think 2007, I was like, God, I love this festival. 2008 kind of brought me crashing back down to earth. But 2009, I just thought, this festival is the greatest festival on earth. I just want to come here forever. And hey, I'm still going to this day. So in that way, it probably did work. But yeah, I'm sure a lot of people's favorite is 2009. I see it on the top of a lot of people's lists, or at least near the top of people's lists. I just think overall, the bands and, you know, just that lightning in a bottle, that's what 2009 was for me. It was just everything about it was perfect. And it just so happened to all come to fruition in 2009. So yes, my favorite Download of all time, Download 2009. Yeah, so there you go, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed that. That was a nice little stroll down memory lane for me. Tell me, obviously, in the comments if you agree or disagree with some of my rankings, and tell me yours. I always love to know where people rank their years of Download. Obviously, of course, there was a few that I didn't go to, so I'd love to hear your thoughts on those ones as well and how they stack up. I know people consider 2012 to be one of the best Downloads. Unfortunately, that was one of the ones that I missed. But yes, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't. You will see my patrons who have been on screen. Thank you very much to you guys. I love you very much. Thank you for supporting me. If you do want to come and support me, come over to Patreon and you get loads of cool extra stuff. But yes, as I said, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't. I still can't believe how this channel is just growing and growing and growing. So hopefully you are digging the content that I'm putting out and you come back for the next one. So as always, I shall see you dudes in the next video.
You should go and subscribe to my channel, just because. Come on, subscribe.